Hello everyone, welcome to the Mint analysis for 7th March 2022. So in today's highlight we have sanctions and how does it impact the economy and how much does it actually work as a deterrent. So here we will be mostly talking about Russian economy and how the sanctions have put a restriction to its trade, travel bans, etc. So first of all let's understand the meaning of sanction and its scope. So sanction could result in cutting economic ties in every respect. So it means that when you impose a sanction on a country, you can have travel bans from and to that country. You can have trade sanctions. You can have financial assistance sanctions that we won't, provide this as financial assistance to you. We won't be accepting this services from you. So all these things comes under a sanction. And why does sanctions take place? So for example, when you want a country like Russia to reconsider its strategic plans. So Russia's strategic plan was to attack Ukraine, and to avoid that, to make him reconsider this plan, other companies said that if you will do this, we will have an sanction on you, and which actually came true. So right now Russia is facing all these sanctions. So how does it impact its economy? The sanctions can majorly impact an economy because after that there are various trade bans. You are not able to import the raw material, which is very much important when it comes to your manufacturing sector. So if you are not able to procure the raw material, your supply chains are disrupted. You are not able to import it from even any other country as well because you have some sanctions. So it becomes very challenging for an economy to actually prosper, to have some survival needs, fulfill its survival needs. So all these are some restrictions. And when the sanctions are made collectively, for example, there are some collective organizations like OECD and other NATO. So when some sanctions come from these organizations, it becomes even higher, more riskier. And why so? Because now it's not just that only one country has made a sanction on it, but but also that now you won't be able to have procure these raw material or services from any other country as well. So that becomes a major issue for an economy when he or she faces a sanction. Next is, now we knew that some swift sanctions were there, because of which the banks that were operating there were not able to have their payments on time, because of which it will impact our economy, because no company will come to your country and set up a business because they are not they won't trust you. You might again do some things which can disrupt their businesses, and because of which your economy will again suffer. So this is the impact of sanctions. Now let's come to next news. Curbs on Russia may hit FII interest in LIC. So we were talking about it that government will be reconsidering the timing of LIC IPO, and why so? Because the Russia-Ukraine war has actually sucked out the liquidity. People are more fearful. They might not be in a situation to uh, have those stocks. So demand will fall. If demand will fall, price will fall. So we have done it in detail. If you want, you can go to my video about LIC IPO. I have discussed about it in detail. In fact, I had shared the text analysis on the group as well beforehand. So you can go and check out that as well from my Telegram group. The link will be in my description. So here right now, I will be providing a brief background. So what happened was that through LIC IPO, government was trying to fulfill its divestment targets, which was around 78,000 crore for fiscal year 2022. But right now, if it was going to raise around 65,000 crore from LIC, if the valuation goes down, it won't be able to have that divestment target fulfilled. And also, if it decides to delay the IPO, then again 31 after crossing 31 March, the it, the fiscal year of 2022 will end. So that's why again the divestment targets won't be able to fulfill. So it's both the timing as well as the valuation which is crucial right now, because of which the government is facing some restrictions. And also FIIs won't be interested here because in such a situation, war-like situations, they have to have carry more risk in terms of geopolitical risk. Now the next heading is students fleeing Ukraine wary of loan repayments. So the students that are coming from Ukraine, they will be facing challenges in repaying their education loan and also about their degrees, because they don't know when their colleges will resume and when they will have their degrees. So it's an uncertainty that they're facing. Next is about CSR performance. So this is a very important news right now, because in February itself there were some new regulations from the government side on the CSR performance of the companies. So let us understand what is CSR. CSR is the corporate social responsibility, and through this, any company tries to contribute to the society. So it contributes to the society because it has used some of the resources of the society. So now it's the company's liability to pay back to the society. So it comes under a compliance, which is a corporate social responsibility compliance. Now, a company has to fulfill this compliance, abide by this compliance, and this is being supervised by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. It supervises whether the company is actually allocating some percentage of its revenue to the CSR activities or not. And earlier, it was the case that in case your company doesn't was not able to fulfill the compliance or fall short on the performance, then you can simply give an explanation about it, and then you can get away with the compliance. But now there are some monetary penalties in case you fail to do so. So it was introduced in February, and now it is said that the companies who were doing whatever they were doing, it will come under scrutiny from April, that whether you have actually fulfilled the compliance or not. Next is government e-marketplace will likely add works procurement for ministries. So in this news, they are talking about all the works that have to carry on for for the ministries, for the government departments. They can be now done through this portal. So what will happen is that it is a system being set up so that the work can be done faster and in a more transparent way with low cost. So it will assure them that now what will happen is whenever you will have a project, you can just simply list your project and invite the bids, and whatever the lowest bid will be, you can allocate the project thereon. So it's just a step to go digital and cut down the cost and provide more transparency. Next is India Canada set for FTA talks on Friday. So in this news, it is said that India is going to have an free trade agreement with Canada, where India will be focusing on the early harvest deals, because its major focus is because the market of agriculture is very huge in India, and it wants to have a safety net for these rural people. So that's why it's always strategized to have a early harvest deal first with the other countries, and in this case as well. The other sectors that we'll be focusing on is textiles and pharmaceuticals. And for Canada, since it's an FTA, if India wants something, Canada also, will be selling its commodities, having some agreement about its commodity. So Canada is looking at an investment protection agreement. So that's the deal about right now, and the talks will be held on Friday, which is the coming Friday. Now next is CBI arrests former NSE Chief Executive Ramakrishna. So a case was going on NSE, that it has about the collocation case, where it allowed some brokers to access the information from its backend server. So about that, recently the news is that the Chief Executive Ramakrishna has been arrested by CBI. If you want to do it in detail, you can again hear my video on 28th Feb. I will be sharing the link, so you can do that. But the current status is that the charges are maybe confirmed, and that's why Ramakrishna has been arrested by CBI. So next is about again the profit margins. Here we will be talking about two main industries and how it has been impacted. So the first industry is About the auto sector. So auto sector is challenging, facing tough times because there are rise in the retail fuel prices, because of which the consumers might actually not go for a car and will go for another services, because of which they won't be able to sell their cars or vehicles. So that's the first problem. And also the raw material cost has gone up because the metal prices has gone up. So it's a double war that they are facing from the supply side as well as from the demand side. Next is about cement industry. So in cement industries, the pet coke and coal prices have gone up. Because of this, it is again facing the adversities. Next is MasterCard Visa halt operations in Russia. So we have seen that earlier the companies like Apple and Ford were retreating from Russia because of the SWIFT ban, and now MasterCard and Visa are the next in line. They will be withholding all the transaction, and now these cards won't be accepted in the Russia stores, as well as from all the Master and Visa cards which were issued in Russia. They won't be working. Next is very important about GST lower slab could be raised to 8%. So through this, they are actually aiming to increase their revenues. If you will increase, right now there are four slabs: 5, 12, 18 and 28%. So if we increase the slab from 5 to 8%, it is expected that the additional revenue that will be generating will be rupees 1.5 trillion. So rupees 1.5 trillion will be additional revenue to the government. And also it is said that it's now, the first aspect was if 5 to 8% is imposed, but now it is further saying that there were some products which had 0% GST. They will also be in the slab rates, and these products are the unbranded products, the local products. So they will it is saying that they will also fall under the GST category, and because of which the revenues can further be pulled up of, and give rise to the government revenue. So next was very small about PE and VC activities. So I just wanted to highlight that in the previous week there was around $1.45 billion raised, but in this week it was only 470 million. So you can see around one third cut. So why is it so? Maybe because of the uncertainties due to the war, but it has laid a big impact on the fundings of the company. So they won't be able to generate enough of cash, and maybe will have to delay their expansion plans. So that's the news. Next is logistics firm look to ramp up tier 2 in city expansion. So it's again a trend. So you have seen that in the pandemic, in the previous newspaper, we have seen that there was construction industry which was benefited because of pandemic, because people were holding out new construction in their houses, and because of which the furnishing industry also flourished. So because they needed it for decor purposes, so they got benefited. Now the second was because of e-commerce industry, the logistic firms were able to gain some returns in tier 2 countries. So what happened was, when you order something, so these e-commerce websites, they need some warehouses for which they need logistic firms. So for that, because of that, since the orders were high, e-commerce industry also needed more logistic support, because of which the warehouses that were needed to supply these products also rose. And because of that, there were some extra returns made by the logistic firms. And because of these returns, and because of the consumer habits that they will be purchasing more through e-commerce than going for offline shopping, so these are now planning expansion. Logistic firms are planning the expansion in tier 2 cities, and they are just trying to capitalize on their gains, on the benefits that they have gained from the pandemic, and that's we are discussing about here. So now you have two things in your bucket, which was first is about construction industry, and the second is about the e-commerce industry, which were the which were most benefited in the pandemic. Next is the zero emission trajectory for India. So here they are saying that by 2040, 75% of the new vehicles sold in the world will be EVs. And they are also saying that apart from this fact, there will be three building pillars on which this can be established. So the three are: first is technology, second is ecosystem, and third is economy. So we will need the technology to actually produce those kind of EVs which will be in demand, which can be used by the consumer at a low cost. Second is about the ecosystem, which is about the the charge system, the electric vehicle charging system all over the country. So laying down a plan for that and actually delivering that kind of infrastructure will become important. Third is about economy, which means that the inflation should be in control. There should not be supply disruptions. For example, right now chip shortages are going on, so it can adversely affect their sales. So any such kind of thing should be, restrained. So these are the three main pillars for building zero emission trajectory, reaching the zero emission trajectory for India. Next is US looks to provide aircraft to Ukraine. So US is actually trying to negotiate and influence Poland to provide the fighter jets to Ukraine, but Poland is not in the mood. It is denying to provide any such guidance to Ukraine, maybe because of the Russian influence it is facing and the dominance Russia have over these countries because it holds a major gas supply to these countries. And even right now, India is not taking an open stand because it can't just stand against a Russia who has been his friend from past many decades. So that becomes tricky here. Next is Iran new deal threatened by Russian demands over curbs. So it says about an Iran nuclear deal, and Russia was playing a major role in this. So the US and the other nations are trying to have some, you know, they are trying to safeguard this nuclear deal, whereas Russia is just coming up with a lot of more demands that you can see it here that they have asked for a written guarantee that the current process triggered by United States does not in any way damage their rights, their trade, their economic and investment opportunities with the Islamic State. So it is trying to create some loopholes in the sanctions that are being imposed on Russia, and it is trying to gain advantage of this position in the nuclear deal. Next is investors starting to buy Ukraine and Russian bonds, betting big on post-war recovery. So as you have seen that in the pandemic as well, when we faced the pandemic in March 2020, so people were trying to buy the stocks at a discounted rate. Same is happening right now. People are trying to, make the investment at discounted prices so that when eventually they will come out of the war, they can have some gains over it. So investors are just pumping in money so that they can have the abnormal profits on these bonds right now. That's all we have in today's newspaper. If it has helped you, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. For joining my Telegram group, you can see the link in the description and join it from there. Thank you so much.